Hello and welcome back to Only Analog. So in a few of our recent videos, we've been recently talking about some camera pickups that we found, some charity shops and local antique shops that we've been visiting. And I know a few of you were interested to see what we've been picking up. I've also had a few questions about what we look for when we're camera hunting in charity shops and antique shops as well. So today's video is going to be all about what I've picked up recently, what to look for when visiting a charity shop or antique shop, all the do's and don'ts, how to price a camera to make sure you're getting a fair deal. And I'm also going to give you a little update on what's coming up on the channel in the coming weeks as well. So in a recent video I mentioned that I was heading down to a local charity shop to have a look at some cameras. Over the years of shooting film now, I've become quite friendly with some of the antique and charity shop owners in my local towns and villages. So what I normally do is I head down when they let me know that they've got some cameras in and I help them price them up. And also if there's anything that I think is worth picking up for myself as well, I normally grab a few bits. So what you can see here is a few of the cameras that I have picked up recently, whether it's from charity shops, I've got a few from a friend, some antique shops and a couple from some camera shops as well. So let's start by looking at charity shops and antique shops, what you should be looking for when hunting. So the first point, and probably the most obvious, is to always check the camera's working. If it doesn't, ask yourself, can you fix it, or is it worth getting repaired or any parts replaced? The main things I like to check are always the mirror, so open up the camera or take the lens off and have a look at the mirror. The curtain cloth or the camera mechanism, make sure there's no bends or breaks or any pinholes in the curtain. I always open the battery compartment as well and check for rust and corrosion. If a camera heavily relies on a battery and you've got corrosion in there, it can wreak absolute havoc with the camera's internal mechanisms. If you've done all that and the camera is working, obviously check through all the shutter speeds, make sure they're all firing correctly, and check the aperture blades as well if the camera does have a fixed lens on it. You know, obviously if it comes with an adaptable lens that you can change, the lens isn't always an issue, but that should sort of be counted into the overall price at the end. So something I like to do is always take spare batteries. You know, a lot of these cameras with built-in light meters or other functions tend to take some batteries as well. And a lot of the times, you know, if you're finding them in charity shops or antique shops, they're not going to have batteries in them. Or if they do, they're probably corroded or flat. If you're unsure on the price of a camera, do some research. It never hurts to sort of put a camera down or leave it behind the till for a moment. Go away, have a flick through eBay or other photographic sites to figure out what price is best. Something I like to do is look through eBay's recently sold section. So what you can do is search for the camera on eBay, and then you can set the listing settings to sold or recently sold, and you can see roughly what that camera is sold for, and that should give you a rough indication of the second-hand market for the camera you're looking for. And remember, it doesn't hurt to negotiate with some of the shop owners. A lot of the time these cameras, the guys that are in there, they don't really know what they've got. Sometimes they'll massively overprice or massively underprice. And I think it's fair to sort of negotiate if you think something's slightly overpriced. You can always show them the research that you've done to say, you know, this is what the camera's worth. And obviously take into consideration as well the condition of the camera. If it's been fairly battered or, you know, you've got to fix something, just let them know. 9 times out of 10, they'll probably negotiate with you pretty well. And the worst they can say is no. So these are some of the cameras that I've picked up recently. I'm going to do a quick little rundown on a few of them. So these point and shoots are actually from my local charity shop. There's a lovely lady in there who keeps anything aside for me that she thinks that I'll like. These were all actually given to me. What I normally do, if there's anything electronic in the cameras, she's not allowed to sell them. So anything like that she keeps aside for me, and then what I normally do is do a little donation in their relief pots or their charity pots, just to sort of help out in any way that I can. All of these are working, and I'm actually quite looking forward to using some of these point and shoots. If you've seen my Olympus XA video, you'll know that I'm quite a fan of just having a point and shoot on me at times when I'm not out shooting for a video with Tom. So I'm quite excited to see what results I can get out of these. From looking on lomography at some of the sample images out of these, I'm fairly impressed. I never hold, you know, too high expectations for these. 9 times out of 10, they sometimes have a small problem somewhere along the line, but yeah, super excited to get out with these. So we've got the Olympus AM100, the Pentax SBO 140M on the 140M, and the Pentax Zoom 105 Super. which is actually quite a chunk for a point and shoot. So anyone that's watched the channel as well so far, you'll know that I absolutely love Canon's 35mm SLRs and any Canon glass that I stumble across. So a few months back I picked up this Canon AE1. This was off Facebook Marketplace, and I believe I paid £50 for this. It came with a lens. The lens that's on here is actually picked up separately in a charity shop, which I'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, I paid £50 for the black AE1, the 50mm FD mount lens, and I think about 4 or 5 rolls of film as well. So, you know, it's always worth checking on the Facebook Marketplace for little bargain finds occasionally as well. And this was definitely a steal for me. The lens that's on here is the Vivitar 24mm. Me and Tom actually recently visited another local charity shop, and this was on the shelf for £5. Absolutely excellent condition, so I definitely had to pick that up. I recently took it out with Tom on another project that we were working on at the time, and took a few snaps of it and got some great results. I think quite often the Vivitar glass is overlooked. Vivitar do a range of different lenses for different cameras with different mounts, and quite often I find that whenever I use some of these Vivitar lenses, I'm definitely very impressed by the results that I'm getting back. I'll pop some of the shots up on the screen now that I've taken with this AE1 and this 24mm lens. Let's move on to this. And this is the Canon FP. Also came with a 50mm lens, and I believe I paid £12.50 for this. This was from one of the jumble antique shops that me and Tom frequently visit, and this was just sat on the shelf for £12.50, and this is a fully mechanical camera, so I don't have to worry too much about any of the electricals going wrong in this camera because it is fully mechanical, so no batteries required. And this is just an easy one for me to pop into my bag if I'm out and about with friends or family. It doesn't have a light meter, which isn't a massive issue. I've got a light meter app on my phone, which I quite often use for cameras like this. But this fully mechanical little Canon is a nice one for me to shoot. I haven't really put a lot of rolls through it yet, but it's, you know, the results are what you would expect from Canon glass and a Canon SLR. So lovely little pickup for £12.50. And while we're on the subject of Canon as well, also picked up this 70 to 200mm Canon FD lens for £35, I believe it was. This was actually from a camera shop. I managed to haggle the camera owner down a little bit. But this lens actually saw me through a video that's coming up very soon, so you'll be able to see this in action. While we're on SLRs as well, I've also picked up this Mamiya 528TL from a antique store as well. I believe this was £7 or £8. So this is a mostly mechanical camera. It does have a built-in light meter, a fixed 48mm lens. Now, I haven't tested this one yet. This is quite a recent pickup, so I haven't really had the time to go out with it or share any results with you. You definitely can't go wrong with little pickups like this. I've seen some image samples again on Lomography's website, and they look fairly good from what I've seen, so looking forward to head out with this one. We've also got a little fold out here, which I'm not going to go into detail about. I have tested this, but haven't developed the results yet, and it is pretty beat up, so I'm not too sure what we're going to get out of that. This is my new Polaroid SX70. I actually acquired this in a trade with a friend, and I've taken a few shots of it so far, and I've always enjoyed shooting Polaroid. I usually use them at family gatherings or around Christmas time or birthdays. I think they're great little sort of candid shots to have instantly. I don't take these too seriously. You know, I don't really use these when we're out and about shooting. I have thought about making a video on this, so if anyone is interested, do let me know in the comments below. But yeah, this is my new SX70. And now we're going to move on to these. And these are what I've been most excited about recently. We'll talk about this one first. This was given to me by the same charity shop owner. It was a little bit broken to begin with, so what I did was I took it away, I fixed it up, we smoothed out all the issues of it, and now she's working a treat. So what I did, I went back, once I knew it was working and I'd run some test rolls through, I went back and put some money into the charity pot. But this is the Exakta VX1000. This actually came with the Carl Zeiss Tessar lens, which is a 50mm 2.8. and it's taken some extremely nice results for me so far. I absolutely love using these. I've been after one for quite a while, and I actually bought this one just before I picked this one up. So as I said, I was looking around for a long time, and I actually found this one in a camera shop. Now this is the Exakta Varex or Varex 2A. Now originally it came with the Carl Zeiss lens, but he was asking far too much for the Exakta body with the lens. So I decided to haggle with him a little bit. We then agreed to take the lens off the camera and just buy the body itself. So I think I paid about £50–60 for this one. I ended up buying the lens for this separately just before acquiring this one again. And this is the Domiplan lens 50mm 2.8, which is okay. It's not as sharp and crisp as what you'd find in the Carl Zeiss, but for the time being it sort of saw me through. Obviously, being interchangeable lenses, I can move the Carl Zeiss across to either of the models if I wanted. But I really like this style of shooting, having the waist level viewfinder in a 35mm camera with just a single lens rather than a twin lens. And I'm actually going to be making a video on these two cameras, which will be the next video coming that you'll see very shortly. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely stick around, subscribe to the channel if you want to see these in action. It also means a lot to me and Tom for any subscribers that do join the family. So just a little update on the channel on what's to come. Obviously you know now that the Exakta video is going to be next. We've also got a rallycross video that's coming up that we shot a couple of weeks ago, which was actually recommended to us by our friends over at Nicks and Tricks. Managed to get some film from Kodak as well for the event. We've also got some X-Pan goodness in the next coming weeks or months, depending on how our schedule goes. And we've got some Scotland videos as well to come, which was from my travels this time last year, which I finally got around to producing. So if that's anything that interests you, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button as well. It will notify you every time we've got a new video. Drop it a like, drop it a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you think you should look out for when out and about charity shop or antique shop hunting. And if there's anything here that you'd like to see in action on the channel, please do let me know as well. But thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you very soon in the next one. Peace.